It says I'm live. It says I'm live. It says I'm live. What's up, armchair philosopher? Let's go. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna play one song because I just kind of got home. I was out in the street taking care of business, and I didn't kind of warm up to what I'm about to present because some shit I put up, these tabs I put up last night. All right, and I'm just getting home, so let me weave through this. I'm gonna play one song. What's up, Donnie? I'm gonna play one song, and we're gonna go ahead and get into this. Right? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Abdul, what's happening with you? Okay, so bear with me for a minute. I came to debunk Shakka Ahmose presentation that he did on uh, 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 um, um, House of Consciousness. Right? Slow down, Mika, and take your time. Don't get blocked. I'm just coming here to do a presentation. Listen and say thanks for the information, or don't say it. Chill out, okay? This ain't about no immature shit tonight, no juvenile shit. Let's act like adults. What's up, Cassandra Brown? Hold on, y'all. Let me share my screen real quick. Hold on. Bear with a pimp. Bear with pimping. Now, I got all these screens up, so my, some of this stuff may be running a little slow until my computer kind of kick in. All right. And hold on. We're going to do it. StreamYard's got some new things up. I ain't been on StreamYard in a month or so. But they got some new features. So I hope everything's still on point. Okay. Bear with me, family. Bear with me. I'm just trying to check. I'm just checking in. We're going to clarify some stuff, but bear with me for a second. Okay. Let me get my bearings together, and we're going to go in. Give me 3 minutes and it's going to begin. Let me check with my tablet, make sure my sound and everything right. Now, if you can hear that music clearly and hear me clearly, type a number 8 in the chat. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Been in the game for quite some time.
Thank you,
writing
Johnny.
words and spitting rhymes. Listen up verbs and dropping dope lines. I'm here to take my shit back. Motherfucker, don't give me what's mine. Ow. You wanna do what I do?
T-Ben in the house. What's up, T-Ben? I love to see you in the comments every time you come.
You gotta do what you do. You wanna talk the way I talk. You gotta talk. You wanna walk the way I walk. Yeah. But you can't, so you might as well stop. Try. stylish clothes I wear. Hold up, bitch, don't touch my hair. Don't touch my hair, girl. You smell the fragrance of my cologne through the air. A bona fide man, know what you know about that, Jack? You wanna do what I do? You gotta do it, do it. You wanna talk the way I talk? You gotta talk. You wanna walk the way I walk? Yeah. But you can't, so you might as well stop. Try. Who's Jack? Who's Jack? Who's Jack? Who's Jack? Who's Jack? Who's Jack? Who's Hold up now, you must think you slick. You talking about that, but that ain't this. You think that you're magic, hocus pocus with all your tricks. Wanna impress me, bitch? Drown a fish. You be chill. You wanna do what I do? You gotta do what you do. You wanna talk the way I talk? You gotta talk. You wanna walk the way I walk? Yeah. But you can't, so you might as well stop. Try.
What city are you in?
What you like, bitch? You don't know, Jack. You don't know Bruce, Jack, bitch. What you like? What you like, bitch? Please.
All right. Y'all know that's my favorite song. Who's Jack? Who's Jack? I'm a funk baby. I was born in December 1969, right? 3 days later, it was January 1970. I was born into the funk. My uncles listened to funk. I used to go through their album covers and just, I'm a funk baby. Hey, Snow M. Christ TV, I appreciate the donation. Thank you very much. I'm very, very appreciative of any donation. Now, appreciate you. Keep the donations coming, man. I'm trying to put in the work and educate people. I love it, right? So, Shakka Ahmose, the title says Chief X refutes Shakka Ahmose. And I know Shakka Ahmose is watching. He watches all my shit. Shakka Ahmose is nervous as fuck right now. Ain't that right, Shakka? Oh, I love it. Shakka Ahmose is nervous. What the fuck is Chief X gonna say? Chief X gonna kill me. Yeah, we know it. So, sweat. No sweat. Okay, I got you. I appreciate it, man, every time. Shit, sometimes I be broke and needing it. So, Shakka Ahmose, the title says Chief X refutes Shakka Ahmose, who is a staple in the House of Consciousness or Sonetta TV's community, right? And it says, are we the people connected to ancient Egypt? That was the title on Sonetta's video on the House of Consciousness. And Shakka Ahmose attempted to prove that black Americans, we're not talking about nobody else. We're talking about black Americans, African Americans are connected to ancient Egypt and the ancient Egyptians. He set out to prove that. Now, meanwhile, in his presentation, if people were paying attention, Shakka Ahmose had to do the inevitable. Shakka Ahmose had to sell his soul in order to make that presentation on the House of Consciousness with a K, not a C, YouTube channel, which is Sinetter's YouTube channel. He had to sell his whole soul to do that. So to connect us to ancient Egyptians or North Africa or Kemet, he had to denounce that we descend from West Africans. Did y'all pay attention? He said about 8 times, we're not West Africans. So this is the new thing now, since Chief X came out with Black Egypt Debunk, that these folks on Sinetter TV's channel has to now deny that they're West Africans so they can fit into being ancient Egyptians. Shameful. Shameful. And not too many people called him on that. It plays into, hey, we're ashamed to be West Central Africans. No, we got to be Egyptians or have some connection with Egypt so we can feel better about ourselves and our plight. Because I can't think of, or I'm in competition. This is the whole psychology behind it. Follow me in Chief X in what I say. The psychology behind the conscious community is they have to compete with white folk for 1, morality, and for 2, achievements in history. They don't want to just be some lonely West and Central Africans. They need to steal other people's history and say, no, we done better than what you white folk done. We achieved more than what you white folk done. We built the pyramids, the Sphinx, and all that mystical, magical shit in Egypt. That was us. Look at us now. That's our history. No, we just weren't primitive. We weren't just underdeveloped in West Africa. We had major achievements like the pyramids and all that mystical, magical shit in ancient Egypt. That's what it's all about. Walter Williams told us 20 years ago, we have to take Egypt, he said. I've shown this video. We have to claim ancient Egypt to make us feel better about ourselves. I've showed that video. Afrocentric said, hey, we got to claim this shit so we can fix white folk. We can show them up about our achievements and our morality. So I say achievements and morality that black Americans are in competition with white folk about. This is all why this all goes down. This is the whole psychology behind it. Let me text this group and let them know I'm live. And we're not going to be here long today, I promise you. It's 3 points I'm going to make and debunk that Shaka had in this presentation, and that's it. We're not going to be here long. Would you say, oh, I'm sure I learned from Shaka that there is no such thing as North Africa. They just black folk with stereotypically Indo-European and Eurasian physical characteristics. Shaka is wild. Now, I go head up with people like Shaka, Brother Polite, because I think they're devils. Both known for molestation and child predator bullshit. Polite's in prison right now behind it. And I was the first person in this community to come for Brother Polite when he first stepped on the scene. And I looked at him and I heard him talk. I said, this nigga is evil, a con man, and full of shit. Because his first scam was trying to sell vacant land and property to people for $1 or $0 down. Me as a former real estate agent with a real license in California, hold on. Me as a former realtor knew better. There's no vast land and property that's just sitting around free for niggas to take that Jews and white folk ain't already took over or bought. This was the first call. I'm like, why is these niggas so gullible to believe Polite? Now, I was a real realtor. This is one of my old real estate cards. Capital Mortgage, Inc. Mortgage banking institution, Xavier Shelton, senior loan officer. So I got to show and prove I'm just not no jive turkey, and I'm not new to this. I'm a wise man and been around and done a lot, okay? I have a real estate license, but I couldn't find my license over there. I was going to show it. State of California real estate license. Xavier. So the Chief X is not for some chief, as I'm talking about some Native American bullshit. The X is for what? Xavier. They used to call me X-Man, but I grew up and matured, and I said X-Man is a kind of immature name. I've grown up now. I need a more mature name, and I start calling myself Chief X. And the chief ain't got nothing to do with Native Americans and none of that bullshit. I used to be in the Navy, and the highest enlisted rank was a chief. Then you become senior chief. Then you become master chief, right? Chief, the pinnacle, right? So that's why I use the name Chief X. And yes, I was a loan officer and a real estate agent. I refinanced people. I did home loans to buy a home. And I was a realtor and listed people's property for sale and helped black folk buy homes in the state of California. Now, I just wanted to show that because I was talking about Polite. So I knew when he was talking about this property, he was a jive turkey. 90% of y'all didn't know because you don't have the wisdom or the experience to understand when a person is jiving you. Day one, when Polite came on the scene, I said, this nigga's a con artist. Okay? Now, let me get into this. We got almost 50 people watching, right? So, Shaka Ahmose set out to prove that we are basically the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. You know who else set out to try to prove this before? And did a whole live stream on Sonnet about it? Brother Reggie. Dr. Isa, Dr. Faraj in California who went to Cal State Dominguez. I know these niggas. They made a video and also in cahoots with Anthony Browder, and the title was From the Nile to the Niger to the Potomac River. From the Nile River to the Niger River to the Potomac River. That means you came from ancient Egypt, where the Nile River flows, to West Africa, where the Niger River flows, to America, the Potomac River. Now, can y'all hear me well? Because one guy said, Port City said my mic is low. It may be your equipment, Port City, but I'm not sure. But if everybody else can hear me well, again, type a number 8 in the chat. Right? What you say, Darrell? Listen, now let me start this off and get to it. Okay, you say I'm good, Cassandra. Let me start this off and get to it. Everybody claims all scholars that I've listened to in the oh my God, Brass, I appreciate you, bro. That's my nigga, Brass. All praises due to the brother Brass. Please, everybody, go to Tri Media and subscribe to Tri Media. When you see that symbol or that logo next to Brass donation here, that's Tri Media. Please go subscribe. It's a new channel with upright brothers doing and talking about upright things with good intention. The brother Brass is a good brother with good intention. Okay? I appreciate you, Brass. Thanks for that. Right? I forgot the point I was making. Brass threw me off. What was the point I'm making? Oh! I kind of forgot. Hold on. Let me adjust my mind. Yeah, the rivers I talked about, Cassandra. But I was about to make a prouder point before I start this debunking, right? Bam. It was profound, too. Nile, Niger, Potomac, right? There you go. So, Browder and these other cats have been... Okay, here... No, you just reminded me, Cassandra Brown. Appreciate you. Everybody knows that the ancient Egyptians recorded and documented everything of importance that happened in their society. This is a fact. Everyone knows it. If they did that, it's documented and written. There's some hieroglyphs about it. It's documented. They were meticulous about documenting their life and their history. Everyone knows this. One thing ancient Egyptians have never ever did or never ever documented, they never ever said they traveled to the Americas or West Africa. So why are these Afrocentrics making these claims that the Egyptians came to the Americas and or West Africa or migrated to West Africa? What are they doing? What these Afrocentrics is doing, what Shakka Ahmose is doing, is disrespecting the ancient Egyptians and lying on them. And putting words in their mouth. It was a moth, excuse me. The ancient Egyptians ain't never documented or told anybody that they came to the Americas or West Africa. If anybody can show me where ancient Egyptians documented migrating to West Africa, I will shoot you immediately $100 to your Cash App. Immediately. I told people on Facebook years ago, the ancient Egyptians didn't even know that there was a Western Hemisphere. Prove me wrong. People in that age did not know or was clueless that there was an entire Western Hemisphere. Oh, what, Xavier? You're tripping. No, I'm not tripping. West Africans didn't even know an ancient Egypt existed. They had no clue that there were even pyramids in ancient Egypt until the Arab slave trade, which happened way later in history. Swallow that info. Now, let's get to it. What people have to do is stop lying on the ancient Egyptians and stop lying on my West African ancestors. Egyptians ain't never said shit about migrating to West Africa. Now let's get into it. Let me share my screen. All right, so we're going to get it from the horse's mouth. All right, let me just start off with this. This ain't going to take too long because he only had 3 points to try and prove, right?
Your reaction to the things I'm saying, because people do that. People feed off of other people's reactions, right? So when you're not present, especially with what I just said a moment ago, right? You said yourself, I said, when I raised the question, what would make somebody think that there was no connection between Kemet and Africa? You said, that's a great question. Think that there was no connection between Kemet and Africa. You said, that's a great question, right? And then I led into an even, okay.
Profanity on the channel. I forgot to tell you that there's no profanity too. No profanity on the channel. Go ahead, continue, brother.
Okay. Did I use profanity just now?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I just want to.
I'm pretty sure that profanity would be out of the question, right? So, thank you for the redundancy, but I appreciate it.
Hold on, y'all.
So, side of the why do we do that with Africa? We do that with Africa because.
Hold on, y'all. Let me get to it. I got some minute marks I notated.
Exactly what I'm talking about, which would be modern day Africa, the Sahel region, Central West Africa, right? Or just West Africa, Equatorial West Africa. People just say West Africa without even defining which part of West Africa they're talking about, right? It's like there are different parts of West Africa. You have Equatorial West Africa. You have Southwestern West Africa. You have Northwestern West Africa. And Black people occupied all of it. All of it, from the north to the south. So, you know, there's a lot of things that we need to put in context. But the main thing, again, that I wanted to put in context is, why is there this question of any connection between Kemet and West Africa? The reason for that disconnect in the European narrative, right? And we can't even call it the Arab narrative, because the Arabs did not create that narrative. Right? They inherited and benefited.
Oh. Hold on, y'all. I'm missing something. Hold on, y'all. Oh. One second, y'all. I went to the wrong minute marks. Bear with a pimp. Let me see if this is it.
Right, we got You are required to turn on the camera, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Just give me 1 second.
You know what? I'm sorry, people. I'm looking at the wrong damn notes. I'm sorry. Hold on. So I'm clicking on minute marks, and that's not even the video I'm talking about. Hold on, because Chief X be taking notes. So let me get to the correct notes. Here it is. I'm here sitting here all unorganized. Let me get to the proper notes and the proper minute marks. That's the damn problem. Bear with me. We're going to iron this out and make it real quick. Is this the right note tablet? Hold on. I hate to be unorganized like this, so excuse me. Okay, now I got it. I'm got it. I apologize, people. I got it now. Now we're on it. I was on the wrong note page of notes. All right, here we go.
Information. You can pull out a lot of information outdated because the deeper you get, you're going to find that information about that is scarce. There's not a lot of it.
So let me prep you what he's saying right now. He's basically saying information on those who started the Egyptian dynasties and Egyptian civilization is not around because the Aswan Dam was built and it was flooded. So all the information is underwater, is what he's saying. Under Lake Nasser, this is where all the evidence is. Now let's listen to him.
But it's not by accident that there's not a lot of it. It's on purpose. I'm saying that wherever they did find evidence of these migrations of people from Kemet to Egypt into other parts of Africa, they destroyed that evidence. They usually destroyed it through two ways: through water, building dams, or through fire, burning unearthed caches.
Now he just made that up. He said all the evidence of black folk who started the formation of Egypt is buried underwater, under Lake Nasser. He's going to continue. And they done that intentionally to thwart y'all, to show that black folk ain't done nothing. They flooded it and buried the information just to spite you black Americans and spite all the blacks around the world, which is only like 5%. They done all that damage to the geology, to spite y'all. This is what he's saying. Let's go.
Right? So they destroyed that evidence. They destroyed that evidence to create the myth of an isolated Egypt. And this is part of the reason why when you go into the when you start looking into the literature and you start trying to find literature about African migration into West Africa, African migration to other parts, it's there, but there's not a lot of it. And a lot of it you have to piece together. It can be pieced together very well, whether you're talking about genetics, whether you're talking about whatever, cultural anthropology, all of it. Thank you, Smoke and Chill. I appreciate that. Right? But now we're going to look at some documentation. I just wanted to make that very clear that the reason that there's not a lot or an abundance of literature on that particular topic is because it's by design.
It's by design. People in North Africa, Arabs, and these Caucasians flooded it by design to spite you. To spite 5% of the population.
Same way that they built the Aswan Dam and destroyed all of that history in Nubia. And that's another thing. Don't ever let people forget that all of the evidence, or not all of it, but a large reservoir of evidence that attest to the true African origins of Kemet are underneath the Aswan Lake Kemet, that attest to the true African origins of Kemet are underneath the Aswan Lake Nasser, and which was created by the Aswan Dam. They did that as part of that isolation process to isolate Egypt, to make it seem as if Egypt had more to do with the Near East and Arab polities, right, than inner Africa.
This is a crazy ass conspiracy nonsense thing he just said. It's wacko. Shaka, why did you do that? Let's continue. Now, I just wanted to lay that premise of why he's saying all the information is hidden. Now,
but before I did, go, there we go. Okay.
So now, here's the premise. This is one of his 3 sources to prove that the ancient Egyptians traveled to West Africa. Now, we're beginning right now. Listen.
Are you with me, sir?
I'm here.
Okay. All right. We're reading. All right.
You can't see me above you?
No, not when I'm doing this. All I can see is just.
Yeah, I'm right above you.
All right, cool. All right, so this is from Exiled Egyptians, The Heart of Africa by Mustafa Gadala.
Let me tell you. He's saying exiled Egyptians. Now, mind you, the cover is not a black person. But he's saying this guy wrote this book talking about exiled Egyptians. And this proves that those that were exiled traveled to West Africa. Let's listen.
He's a graduate of the University of Cairo, 1967, the year I was born. He's a graduate of engineering. And he's also an Egyptian national. So he's born and raised in Egypt. And in his book, this is what he says on page 128 in the second paragraph. He said, by combining oral traditions, ethno-history, and archaeological evidence, dating of minor settlements, tombs, mining activities, etc., one can see that the newcomers to West Africa begin from the Nile Valley and progressed westward along the Sahel region. Okay, westward, all right? They then progressed to the area of Lake Chad, Tashed, and the Jos Plateau.
Hold on, y'all. Listen here. All praise is due to Chefrine for the donation. $19.99. Appreciate you, Chefrine. Appreciate you. We good now. Appreciate you, bro. Okay, let's get back to this. I just seen that, so I had to notate that, right? Let's continue with Shaka talking crazy.
From there to the Niger River and then toward the Senegal River. The movement was continuous and demonstrable. 2 major westerly migrations took place from the Nile Valley. Okay? So, did you see that, Sir? Did you see that, Sanetta?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Now, that was a trick. This was one of his sources. So we're going to debunk this one real quick. Hold on. Right here is the book. Okay, right here is a book called Exiled Egyptians, The Heart of Africa. This is just a brief description of that book, right? And what does it say? Let me blow this up so we can all see. What this book is about, all right? This document, that book he's talking about, discusses Mustafa Ghalib's book, Exiled Egyptians. The Heart of Africa. The book covers what? Egyptian history from 1070 BC to the modern era, and argues that the ancient Egyptians migrated to and influenced parts of Africa. It reveals aspects of ancient Egyptian civilization across 46 chapters. The book examines prejudices against ancient Egypt and traces linguistic and cultural links between Egypt and parts of Africa, right? What he's talking about and what the book is about it's not about a migration to West Africa. What it's talking about is a migration and the trans-Saharan slave trade. This is what it's talking about. Shaka tricked people. I'm waiting for this to pop up. My screen is, here we go. It's talking about the trans-Saharan slave trade, right? The trans-Saharan slave trade, also known as the Arab slave trade, was a slave trade in which slaves, were mainly transported across the Sahara. We moved from West Africa to Central Africa and North Africa to be sold to who? To be sold to Mediterranean. Let me just blow this up so everybody can see it. Because when I tell people Mediterranean people think I'm tripping. Nope. To be sold to what? Mediterranean and Middle Eastern civilizations. What is Mediterranean civilizations? North African peoples, Arabs and Berbers, right? Oops. This is what the book is, the migration is talking about. The trans-Saharan slave trade, when the Arabs, starting in around 700 AD, began the trans-Saharan slave trade and migrated through the Sahara across North Africa and some Saharan parts of Africa, slave trading black folk. Had trade routes into West Africa, kidnapping and enslaving black folk. They were why does thing keeps doing this? Hold on. It says right here, they were mainly transported across the Sahara. That's what the book is talking about. It's not talking about no ancient migration of ancient Egyptians into West Africa. The estimates of the total number of black slaves moved from sub-Saharan Africa to the Arab world range from 6 to 10 million. And the trans-Saharan trade routes conveyed a significant number of this total, with one estimate tallying around 7.2 million slaves crossing the Sahara from the mid-7th century until the 20th century, the time frame of that book. The Arabs managed and operated the trans-Saharan slave trade, although Berbers were also actively involved. So the book is talking about a migration across the Sahara, across North Africa, and the slave trade. Shaka tricked y'all. But let's continue.
So now that I mean, being that you're the one that asked me the question, you should have some kind of reaction to it. But now that we've seen it, as I said, the problem with his book is that
now let's continue. Hold on.
Let's go to science. Okay. This is the
so now he's going to science, and he's going to talk about the quaternary science reviews.
Quaternary science.
This is his second source. We debunked the first source. We're going to debunk the second source right now.
Okay, it's a journal. The Quaternary is a scientific review journal. And if you go to directscience.com, you can see the article from the journal on that website. It's a very reputable website. It's good. It's peer reviewed, so on and so on. Or they use peer reviewed work. So this article.
Oh, excuse me. Since I got a donation from Chef Ring, everybody listens to me. Go subscribe to the Carnivorous Podcast. We be on there getting down. Let's continue.
The article is called "Did Increased Flooding During the African Humid Period called Did Increased Flooding During the African Humid Period force migration of modern humans from the Nile Valley?"
Pause. You heard him. I played it 3 times. He went way back to when the African humid period. There wasn't even an ancient Egyptian dynasty or nation state back then. This was thousands of years before an ancient Egyptian nation state was conceived. Niggas have to manipulate you and take you to places in chronology when there wasn't even an ancient Egypt to try to say Egyptians went to West Africa. Do you guys understand the mind game here? Now, I pulled up this period. And here we go. The question is asked, the quaternary period, right, is what? Is the third and last of 3 periods of the Cenozoic area. You and I are living in this period, which began 2.58 million years ago. This nigga went back millions of years to try to tell you that the ancient Egyptians migrated to West Africa. Can you believe this shit? Now, Sinader and everybody was confused because they didn't fact check this shit. Now, let's continue. This is less than 0.1% of all geologic time. A thin layer of sediment. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to know what the quaternary period is that Shaka is talking about. Right? You can easily Google this shit. So let's go back.
Okay, I'm going to read it again. Did increased flooding during the African humid period force migration of modern humans from the Nile Valley? Right? Okay. This is a picture of the article. Did increased flooding during the African humid period force migration of modern humans from the Nile Valley? The quaternary science reviews. You can get it yourself, people. You can read it, right? During the quaternary period, the Eastern Sahara hydroclimate oscillated between wet and dry intervals. These oscillations caused drastic changes in precipitation rates, often associated with ancient human migrations. In part, ancient human migrations, often associated with ancient human migrations.
Now he's talking about weather patterns in the African humid period, the Quaternary Science period, 1,000,000 years ago, and thousands of years before there was an Egyptian state. All this to try and prove that some people migrated. Now listen to this.
Often associated with ancient human migrations.
Now, that was a trick. People are going to say, oh, Shaka proved that ancient human migrations migrated west. But if you don't know no better, let me show you what's going on. When you talk about ancient human migrations, look at the screen. What are you talking about? Who's doing all this migrating? Ancient human migrations. What is an ancient human? Ancient humans refer to what? Hominin species preceding Homo sapiens, including Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, who lived in Africa, Asia, and Europe millions years ago, with Homo erectus being the first to migrate out of Africa. So Shaka Ahmose thought he can make you think ancient humans was Homo sapiens. No, this is talking about a time period when Homo erectus and Denisovans were migrating through Africa. Not us Homo sapiens, not ancient Egyptians, but Homo erectus. Can you believe this shit? Shaka Ahmose, in his second source, tricked you niggas. But Chief X is here to bring you back home and correct and clarify the lies, because I don't want my black people misinformed. That's this all about. He tricked you niggas. So let's go back to what he's saying.
In particular,
Just so you can hear it again, let me play it again.
Changes in precipitation rates, often associated with ancient human migrations. Often associated with ancient human migrations. Often associated with ancient human migrations.
Pause. I just showed you who are ancient humans that he's talking about in this Quaternary period, in this ancient period of the African human period. If you didn't know, there's been hundreds of times that the green Sahara turned to dust and was green, to dust and was green, to dust and was green. He's talking about some ancient shit before ancient Egypt was even thought of. And he tricked you niggas. Let's continue.
In particular, from the Nile Valley to the west, populations from the Nile Valley to the west.
Whoa. Uh-oh.
He tricked Sonetter. Sonetter's like, uh-oh, he got one. But this is talking about weather. After the west, he's talking about monsoons. I don't even know if y'all can read this.
Okay. That's science. That's not Shaka Ahmose.
Now, Sa dropped a bomb for him for giving misinformation. Sonetter didn't know no better. It's okay. But let's continue on.
Let me get my bombs ready, baby.
Okay.
Get my bombs ready.
I'm going to read that part again. It's important. These isolations associated with a significant monsoon intensification. So the first thing you have to accept, whether you like it or not, intensification. So the west, monsoon intensification. So
talking about monsoons and weather and shit. Like,
the first thing you have to accept, whether you like it or not, is we have scientific documentation that there were population migration.
now, I think he read this, but after it said from Nile Valley to the west, monsoon, it says what? May have rendered the area inhospitable for human settlement. Let's go.
From the Nile Valley to the
Right.
you don't have to go out and is that when people talk about a
I'm
connection
fast forwarding as I go, so bear with me.
between the Nile, you cannot say that there was no documentation. I just read it for you. Unless you cannot say that there was no documentation. I just read it for you, and there's no connection. You cannot say that there was no documentation. I just read it for you. Unless
So what he's saying is what he just read and what I just explained to you is proof that the ancient Egyptians migrated to West Africa. Listen what I'm saying. It's not the conscious community. This is the unconscious community. One of the dumbest communities in Black America.
unless you're illiterate and can't read. Okay? Now, monsoon intensification may have rendered population in the Nile Valley straight to the west.
Let me fast forward so we can kind of get over this and end it.
Of know where mankind began on the African continent area in Ethiopia, that whole area there, the Ruwenzori Mountain. It started in the east. They had to migrate to begin with, west. So it's a stupid conversation to begin with, unless somebody is absolutely ignorant of the story of human origins. Human origins are not found in West Africa. Sanetta, have you ever heard of human origins in West Africa?
No.
No. So why even have the conversation?
So he's trying to say we're not from West Africa.
It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Between past human ecodynamics and environmental signals, providing a concrete narrative. You heard that? A concrete narrative of human population response. That's from the abstract. Okay? Now we're going to continue. From page 9 of the same report. The increase, this is a quote, the increase of mean annual precipitation and our estimates of intensity.
Why is this nigga talking about precipitation and weather?
Likely turned the Nile Valley into a hazardous place due to flood-related risk, driving people, are you ready, Sanetta?
Yes.
To migrate mainly to the west. That's what that. Okay?
Hey.
And northwestwards for roughly 3,000 years. So you had a migration of people coming from the Nile Valley into the west of Africa for 3,000 years.
Now, mind you, the people or humans he's talking about are like Homo erectus. Ancient archaic humans is what he's talking about, but he's trying to parlay it to you as he's talking about some Homo sapiens us. This was a time period, a million years ago is what he's talking about. Okay, let's continue.
I can do this would be
Conversation is
bro. Yep.
I
said the only one that can do this would be you, bro.
3,000 years.
The only one that can do this would be you, bro.
So Sanetter is saying the only person that can prove that the Egyptians migrated to West Africa is you, Shaka. Bullshit, Sa. I love you, but bullshit. The only person to debunk Shaka is Chief X, Sa. Okay, let's continue.
Yep.
So the conversation is stupid. for people to talk about no connection between the Nile Valley and West Africa. It's stupid. Okay? Once the
Shaka.
Yes.
Sheikh Auntie Giap talked about.
Now let me fast forward and get to some other points.
It's just, I have to say, is there north or the Hara, right? Upper Kemet and Tamehu, right? If just they have the people. So when you look at
you know what? I skipped some parts because he began to say, and I don't know the minute mark because I didn't do it. But he said riparian populations migrated west. So when he said riparian populations migrated west, he's trying to tell you people migrated to the west of the continent of Africa. But what people don't understand is, what the hell is riparian populations? It doesn't necessarily mean people or Homo sapiens. Let's get. Riparian populations encompass what? Diverse plant and animal life along rivers, streams, and other water bodies. So when he says riparian populations, people in the chat and people listening to Shaka thought he was talking about humans or Homo sapiens. No. Riparian populations refer to also encompass plants and animal life, along rivers, streams, and other water bodies, forming a crucial ecosystem with unique characteristics and ecological importance. In riparian populations, vegetation? I'm not no goddamn vegetation. Wait, riparian areas support a variety of plant life, including trees, shrubs, grasses, and flowers. I'm not grass. I'm not a tree. I'm not a shrub. Right, listen. Animals. A wide array of animals, including birds, mammals, reptiles. I'm none of that, right? And amphibians and aquatic organisms thrive in riparian habitats. Now, I didn't show you him saying this about riparian populations, but I'm letting you know he did say it, and you can go back and watch the lecture later on. But just to debunk that, riparian populations is not necessarily talking about people or Homo sapiens. Let's continue.
The Native Americans, the so-called Native Americans, right? When the Europeans came, your culture, right? That
In the next
like it, but with populations, they would come back, which makes sense for Valley connection between Egypt and Tasseti.
All right, here we go.
Or Ta-Nehisi, or the Sudan, if you will, right? The pharaonic culture itself comes out of the Sudan, and the pharaonic culture itself comes out of the Sudan. The pharaonic culture itself comes out of the Sudan. The pharaonic culture itself comes out of the Sudan.
Total bullshit. What he's trying to tell you is that old bullshit that Dr. Ben used to teach. They came from the south, where the god Happy dwelled. You can't find that information nowhere. That's total bullshit. And he's talking about way down in Sudan, Kenya, Tanzania, and shit like that. Straight bullshit. Narmer united Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And the first pharaonic unification was in 3100 BC. And it started in Thinis, which is damn near central Egypt, not the fucking south, not fucking Sudan, not fucking Nubia. Look up Thinis, Egypt. It's next door to Abydos. That is not the Sudan. Narmer is not from the fucking Sudan. Narmer was an Egyptian from Egypt, damn near Central Egypt, not even that close to Aswan. Narmer's from Thinis, which is next to Abydos, and the first dynasty, Dynasty Zero, started in Egypt, not fucking Sudan. You fucking liar, Shakka Ahmose. All Afrocentrics teach this same fucking lie. Google where Narmer is from. If it tells you he's from the Sudan, I will shoot you $1,000 to your Cash App immediately. Reggie, Smash, Shakka Ahmose. You guys all teach they came from the South, they came from Sudan, is a bunch of bullshit.
And the pharaonic culture itself comes out of the Sudan. And the pharaonic culture itself comes out of the Sudan. And
total bullshit. Let's continue.
The Sahara, it's a complex. It's a composite culture, right?
So really, this was his third source he's talking about.
So the pharaonic culture, which starts in Upper Egypt, not Lower Egypt, like flies because of how dirty Europe was. Wherever they went, people would drop like flies because of the diseases that Europeans would give off. Their diseases killed. That's how their relationship with China and gunpowder, right? But that was not their greatest weapon. Their greatest weapon.
Listen, he's talking about Europeans' greatest weapon was diseases and killing people. See, when Afrocentrics talk about history and stuff, they always have to throw in bullshit caveats and bash white folk and show racism and tell, hey, white folk carry diseases and killed off people. Then here it is, you stupid niggas listening, say, yeah, go ahead, Shaka. Yeah, them white folk evil. Yeah, them white folk devils. Yeah, they dirty. This is to tap your emotions so you can feel better about yourself. Because like I said in the beginning of the video, black Americans are in competition with white folk for what? Achievements and morality. So he have to knock the morality down of white folk, which has nothing to do with the topic, but Afrocentrics have to race bait to get you on board, to make you think they down. Yeah, he bashing white folk. To tell the truth, that was a fucking lie. We only killed off people when Europeans came to the New World. Because Europe and Africa is the old world. The Western Hemisphere was considered the New World. So the New World didn't have Old World immunity. What are you saying, Chief X? What I'm saying is anybody who went to the New World, the Americas, Brazil, Canada, anybody from the old world who went to the new world would have killed off a lot of the population because of the diseases we had that the new world didn't have immunity to. Their immune system was not used to old world diseases. So when white folk came to the new world, they killed a lot of people off because of the diseases and illnesses that the new world didn't have immunity to. If West and Central Africans had sailed ships to the new world, they would have killed off the population also because they didn't have immunity to our diseases or the old world diseases. Do you get what I'm saying? You have the new world and the old world who have different immunities to different diseases, and certain people didn't experience certain things, so they didn't have immunity to it. Do you get it? But Shaka is not teaching you that reality because he wants to bash white folk to tap your emotion to think he's down and about that shit. And you say, yeah, Shaka. It's a bunch of hogwash. Shut your pie hole. Let's go.
Was their diseases. Their diseases killed. That's how dirty Europe was. Wherever they went, people would drop like flies because of the diseases that Europeans would give off. Right? That was their real germ warfare power. That was their real power. Not even the repeating rifle.
Let me ask you this question. This is a $10 question here.
Okay.
From our girl sister.
Okay.
RBG Rockham, he asked me, do I have a source for that? I mean, I think you're talking to me. I'm not sure if you're talking to someone in the chat. What's up, S Rush? You can easily fact check me and Google it. This is a scientific fact that if anybody in the old world came to the new world, some people were going to fucking die. A lot of people were going to fucking die. Not just because of white folk, but black folk too. You can easily Google this shit. It's not rocket science. Okay, let's continue.
Right. Actual building was moved and reconstructed by the flood in the 1900s.
I got left standing up again.
Okay, we're moving on.
As soon as you're back, I'll carry on. As soon as you're back,
I'm back, Shaka.
Okay, wonderful.
Smash.
All right. So think about strictly with geography. If you go to the section on slave trade and you go down to where it says Central Africa, this is important.
Now, what Shaka is doing right here and what he's about to do, let me inform you, is tell you you're not West African. And that the slaves came from, the slaves were Nilotic, which is a play off the Nile, are Nilotic people, and people along the Nile in East Africa who were brought to West Africa and then enslaved. So Shaka Ahmose went on a whole tangent trying to teach us that we're not West African. We're related to Nilotic people who came from the Nile to West Africa, and that's where the majority of the slaves were from. This is what he said. Let's go.
Because they like to tell people that the slaves came from the coast of Africa. The latter ones may have, because the people who were acting as middlemen, they ended up getting enslaved themselves. That's what the film Woman King was about, right? But listen, as the demand for slaves grew, some groups of Central Africans, we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, right?
Right.
So we already got Sudanese and Nilotic people being funneled into the transatlantic slave trade. Sudanese and Nilotic people being funneled into the transatlantic slave trade. Sudanese and Nilotic people being funneled into the transatlantic slave trade. But I want to show you this from Central Africa. And this is very important because it's the area where the Sudan and Central Africa meet that that many of the slaves came from. People don't.
So he's trying to tell you guys are really not West Africans. You came from the motherfucking East and Sudan and the Nilotic people. Chief X, well, hey, who is Nilotic people? You guys can look that up yourself, but Nilotic people are like people in Sudan, Kenya, you know what I mean? Ethiopia, along the Nile, and these are them pitch black people, these Nilotic people, right? This is what he's trying to tell you. I don't want to play this whole thing because it may take too long, right? Now, Let me just show you real quick. Hold on, y'all. Let me just show y'all real quick. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's get back. Okay, so this is Nihilotic people who he's trying to tell you who you are. You gonna let a nigga, a child predator like Shaka Amos, tell you you are of the Nihilotic people? Here it goes. Nihilotic people are a diverse group of ethnic groups inhabiting what? The Nile Valley. Is where the word Nihilotic comes from. Inhabiting, excuse me, I'm sorry, the Nile Valley and speaking Nihilotic languages, found primarily where? South Sudan, Uganda, northern Uganda, and western Kenya. They are known for their pastoralist lifestyle and cultural traditions centered around cattle. I'm not no motherfucking Nihilotic people. And neither are anyone listening to me. I'm a West Central African. Shaka Amos is not going to change who we are and lie to me without me correcting and debunking it. He's trying to tell you that most of the slaves, now watch this. Hold on, y'all. We're about to end this real quick. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen. All right. So, now a lot of people were indeed part of various forms of slavery, including what? The trans-Saharan slave trade. The trans-Saharan slave trade is the Arab slave trade, just so you understand. The transatlantic slave trade was Europeans taking people from Western Central Africa to the Americas. Okay? Trans-Saharan slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, two different things. Trans-Saharan slave trade was the Arab slave trade. Transatlantic slave trade was the European slave trade. Well, let me say European with Western Central Africans participating in the slave trade. Okay. Now, a lot of people who inhabit the Nile Valley and surrounding areas were often targeted by slave traders, including who? Nubians, Egyptians, Berbers, Arabs, during the trans-Saharan slave trade, right? The transatlantic slave trade focused primarily on the enslavement and transportation of people from where? Western Central Africa to the Americas. Now, limited Nihilotic involvement in the Atlantic slave trade. Because Shaka, and just to save time, was trying to tell you that the majority came from the Nilotic people. No, limited Nilotic involvement in the transatlantic slave trade, while some Nilotic people may have been what? Indirectly involved in the transatlantic trade. Their numbers were far smaller than those from Western Central Africa, who were the primary subjects of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay? East African slave trade. It's important to note that a separate East African slave trade involving the movement of people from East Africa to the Middle East and other areas also existed, and Nilotic people were part of that trade. That's how all the Swahili language came about. That everybody was communicating the same so they can communicate with each other in East Africa and the East African slave trade. These are different types of slave trades. Okay? Shaka was disingenuous and wrong.
Don't understand how deep into the continent they were going to get slaves. They were going to get people to enslave, right? So listen to this. It says here, hold on. All right.
I'm going to ask you to lighten up on the insults. So
it comprises.
Okay, so those are basically all his sources to prove, hold on, let's come on back. Those are basically his three sources that he had the audacity to get up on the House of Consciousness and tell you these are the reasons, or this is the sources, or this is the proof that Egyptians migrated to West Africa. Those are his sources. I debunked all three thoroughly. That was the most horrible presentation I've ever seen on Sonetter TV. And anyone who fell for that is simply illiterate. Oh, God damn, I got these moths in here because my door is open. Hold on. I'm about to kill all of y'all. I just murked 3 moths. So, those are his 3 sources to try and prove that the Egyptians migrated to West Africa. In other words, not a person on the planet has a source to say the ancient Egyptians migrated to West Africa. The Egyptians never documented that and never wrote that, ever. So all these Afrocentrics and Shaka Ahmose is being disrespectful and lying on the ancient Egyptians. If they never said they did, why in the fuck a confused black American up out of motherfucking New York who's never even been to Egypt, why would he say that? On top of that, Shaka Ahmose's mama lives in West Africa. If Shaka Ahmose's mama heard Shaka Ahmose say that bullshit, she'd probably cuss his ass out. It's crazy. Now, we got like 65 people up in here. I appreciate y'all coming to listen. I'm not going to hold you long. Let me just read a few comments. Peace to you, Scent of Phoenix. Right? What's up, Dr. Banu? Let me read some of these comments. First of all, as far back as Shaka Amos went, goddamn moths. As far back as Shaka Amos went, guess what? He was in the African human period, the Quaternary period, a million years ago. Guess what? The sub-Saharan. Well, let me just couch it this way, because people go try to fact check this and try to come at me if I say something off. West and Central Africans' oldest ancestor documented is Asselar Man. You can look it up. Asselar Man, which is about 10,000 years old. West and Central Africans never, ever migrated out of Africa. Your people never migrated out of Africa. My people never migrated out of Africa. My ancient ancestors never migrated out of Africa. Chief X, why would you say that? You have what you call people migrating out of Africa into the rest of the world. We're talking about the what do they call it? The out of Africa theory, right? And people migrated out of Africa, and people migrated back in Africa. This is just over time periods and people moving around the earth in the out of Africa period. So people migrated out and migrated back in over thousands of years. People are shifting and moving. West and Central Africans weren't even a people at that time. Listen, this is why North Africans who migrated out in that corridor in Egypt to West Asia and populated Europe and Asia, and then eventually ended up in Australia 50,000 years later. This is why them North Africans and everybody outside of Africa has Neanderthal DNA. Because they were the people admixing with archaic humans. My people and ancestors don't have that much Neanderthal DNA. Why? Because we weren't migrating in and out of Africa and admixing with archaic humans. Just a little wisdom for you. Just a little logic for you. It wasn't happening. And this is why outside of sub-Saharan Africa, people don't even think this deeply. Outside of sub-Saharan Africa, at best, black folk is 5% of the population of the world outside of sub-Saharan Africa. Whoa, Chief! That's a bold claim. Yep. All of Europe, we're barely 4%. I'm looking at a map here, excuse me. Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, India, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Ukraine, China, India, Japan, Indonesia, right? Philippines, Tokyo, all these lands, Europe, all of Europe, outside of sub-Saharan Africa, including North Africa, you're barely a presence there. You didn't circumnavigate the globe and travel around the world first. Nope, that wasn't you or your ancestors. Get over it. They can find what we would consider black folk, I may not, is people like in the Solomon Islands, Melanesian Islands. These are very, 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 very small populations. I'm going to even give you the Adamanese people in Asia and India. Guess how many of them people are around right now? Probably about 400 to 500 only. You're talking about 4 to 500. Let's just add up all black folk. It's really less than 5%. Population in Solomon Islands are small. Papua New Guinea's a small population. I don't even consider them black, but if you do, I don't have a problem with it. Papua New Guinea, Solomon Island, them people, little kids and shit with the blonde hair, you know what I mean? Adam and his island. You may be talking about 100,000 people at best that would be considered black in them certain areas I just mentioned. You guys pale in comparison to the rest of the human population. You niggas never left a sub-Saharan Africa. Other people did. Japanese people, Chinese people, European people, Russian people, Indian, all these human people I'm talking about were people out of Africa theory and changed through evolution, different diets, different ecosystems, and different away from the equator, and people changed. First of all, archaic humans aren't black or white. So if you want to say people in Africa 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, these ain't black folk. You can't assign a race to Homo erectus, Denisovan, Neanderthals. You can't do it. A lot of times when these archaic humans lost their hair, they was pale up under that. Shave a monkey bald and see what color his skin is. Hold on, let me read some more comments. And again, I appreciate everybody who gave me a donation. But check this out. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. But even better, and I appreciate it, I don't give a shit if it was $1. I'm appreciative of $1 as I am $50. This is my Cash App. People donated to me on here. What they call that? The super chat, right? YouTube gets, I think, maybe 30 or 20% of it. Like every month, every couple months, let me say now, because I haven't been active. YouTube may send me $100 every month or something, just from people who donate to you, right? But that's my Cash App. Feel free to send me a goddamn dollar. Come on, y'all. I don't even ask for much, but damn, I don't do nothing but kick reality and truth and help enlighten my black folk. If you can pay Reggie and Smash and all these quacks Cash Apps for misinformation, god damn, you can give me something for true information. If you can donate to Sonetta TV and all them quacks that be over there, come on now. I'm going against the grain. I really love you. I really wish the best for my people. Everybody else wants to miseducate you and scam you. I love you. Send a brother $1, $10, $50. There go my Cash App. But let me check a few comments. What's up, S. Rush? What you say, T-Ben? The intellectual dishonesty is off the charts. What Shaka did, he should be hung for. Get a rope. It's intellectual treason. Get a fucking rope. Get a noose and take this nigga to the gallows. And hang him for treason. I know you listening, Shaka. I'm on your motherfucking ass, nigga. You watch all my motherfucking videos. Just like all the elders did. I said, see, people don't, I sit here on Facebook back in the day time arguing with a lot of the elders. They come on my Facebook page talking that shit and I say, prove it. Prove it, Anthony Browder. What's the other two cats? One's the ex-cop, Sama. Prove it. Runoko Rashidi used to come on my page before he passed. Rest in peace. Prove that shit. I remember I inboxed on Facebook Runoko Rashidi. Hey, Runoko, can you come on the live? This is when I was down with Ankh, right? And Amin Ra Squad was hot at the time before I broke their ass up. I said, Runoko Rashidi, can you come on our live stream? And I was talking about Amin Ra Squad, and we can have a discussion with the junior elders. You elders need to have a discussion with us junior elders. That's what I call us. This nigga blocked me. He was scared to death to come up on a panel with me and the Amin Ra Squad because he knew what Chief X was about. What's the other brother that be selling crystals? Infadishi. Come on my motherfucking Facebook post arguing all the time back in the day. He don't fuck with me no more because he's scared to death. I made a video exposing his ass. Lying about martial arts. He don't even know the martial arts he's talking about. Infadishi said he was a national champion in Bando, left way, in fighting. I said, where and when? I researched this nigga for 24 hours. I can't find this nigga nowhere. All national champions are documented. And they do that fake karate shit, like the Nation of Islam and a lot of them little Afrocentrics, Infadition, and them back in the day, be doing all that fake shit and shit. You know what I mean? That shit that don't work, that a nigga never had a competition in. Niggas ain't never gotten to the motherfucking ring to prove themselves and have a motherfucking scrapping competition. So I knew this because, look, I used to box and I used to wrestle in high school. Combat sports is my thing. I've never missed a UFC event in my life. I was a phenom in high school wrestling. I was supposed to be at Arizona State on a scholarship, but I went to the Navy, but I was fucking up my senior year. I had 4 boxing matches. I was 3-1. These niggas can't fool me. Let me continue. See, I be talking shit because I'm a cocky nigga. And literally, I think I'll whoop a motherfucker's ass. I think I'll whoop Shakka Ahmose's ass right now. I'm 5'6". I hear this nigga 6'3". I wouldn't give a fuck. Okay, let me finish reading some comments. God damn, these damn moths. These little mini moths. I wonder what their name is and why they keep coming up in here. Okay, let me finish reading some of these comments. What you say, T-Ben? The evidence and proof is always in some legendary location, under a lake, in outer space, on the moon, in the Bermuda Triangle, at the top of Mount Everest, inside a safe created by aliens. Look here. The ultimate proof is DNA evidence. Shaka's anti-science. He doesn't even agree with DNA. He does, but it doesn't suit his agenda. DNA is fucking king. Don't let none of these niggas throw you off from that. I always say the same thing. I don't care what the prosecution team is talking about. We don't give a shit about the defense team, what they talking about. Fuck the goddamn judge. When that DNA evidence hit the court, prosecution, shut the fuck up. Defense team, shut the fuck up. Judge, you shut your dumb ass up. DNA says he's not guilty. Get him out of prison. And they get the motherfucker out of prison. DNA is king. It shuts it all down. And DNA has proven that the ancient Egyptians are of Levantine stock. They're of North African. They're connected to West Asia. And they're not of any kind of Negroid stock. 4 years ago, I asked a question to tell people to name one, just one, not 2, 3, 4, just name one Negroid, indigenous, listen to the wording. People get confused. Shaka don't even know the difference between native, and indigenous. Let me explain that before I make my point. I'm native to the United States. I'm native to California. I'm a native Los Angelinos from Los Angeles. I'm a native Los Angelinos. Native means a place where you were born. Period. Let's not confuse it. We teaching, we cooking. A place where you were born is where you're native to. I'm not indigenous to America, California, or Los Angeles. My ancestors are indigenous to Western Central Africa. It's a difference. Shaka didn't understand this difference. He kept saying native. Native. This. So a lot of times I thought these cats were smart, but nope. I was tricked and fooled. Now, I'm native to California. Sanetter is not native to California. He's native to New York. We're both native to the United States of America. You see? Everybody is not native to the same place unless you're talking about the entire country. Right? But where you're indigenous is a place a people go or migrate to. Like, they don't call it Columbus Day no more. They call it Indigenous Peoples Day. Indigenous People Day, meaning these Native Americans who migrated to the Americas through the Bering Straits, through Canada, down into North America, all the way down into South America, all the way down eventually into Brazil, right? Argentina. These are people who came to a barren fucking land where nobody was here, and they inhabited it, and their culture was born in the Americas. So they are indigenous to the Americas because their culture was born here. You get it? I'm going on a tangent now. Oh, but what I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot my point I was going to make. Yeah, like I always say this. There was no black folk in the entire Western Hemisphere prior to the transatlantic slave trade. Oh, gee, you tripping. No, I'm not. Because you niggas just don't know history. You don't know weather patterns and how can I say it? Put it this way. There was an ice age covering half of North America and Canada called the Laurentine Ice Sheet. Wasn't no people here living in a motherfucking ice age in the Western Hemisphere. When that ice age melted, the Laurentine Ice Sheet, look it up, don't believe me. When that shit melted, then The Native American type, which is the East Asian type, came in through the Bering Straits down into Canada, into the Americas, and into Brazil when it melted and populated the Western Hemisphere, aka the New World. That's how it happened. This is real fucking history. I don't know what the fuck these idiots is talking about. Hey, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. I think I got 4 donations today. I really appreciate it all. Common Sense Science, let them know. Crazy. I'm not sure who LL is talking about. Did I bring up the Nation of Islam? Or is he talking to somebody in the chat? But if you happen to be talking to me, LL, you said, I respect your opinion, but don't act like the Nation of Islam didn't do good for the people. You may not know my flashpoint into consciousness was with the Nation of Islam in 1992. You may not have been born in 1992. I don't know. I'm just, my flashpoint with the Nation of Islam was in 1992. I'm very familiar with the Nation of Islam did for people. One thing the Nation of Islam did not do was participate in the civil rights movement. So the black church did. The black church was more influential and more helpful to black Americans than the Nation of Islam ever was. They don't vote. They didn't participate in the civil rights movement. They talked a good game. The fruit of Islam, which is the military arm, ain't never touched a white boy in their life. But the white man is the devil in their ideology and teachings. But they never touched the devil. They touched each other and killed each other. So the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. It was my flashpoint. I learned a lot. It got me fired up. So the Nation of Islam did get people fired up. They did some good. You know what I mean? They went around teaching, had a few small businesses around, that was mainly the leaders' businesses, but not ours. Like, you know what I mean? You sell newspaper, that money goes up to Farrakhan. The economic blueprint plan goes in Farrakhan's pocket, nobody else. The schools, Muhammad schools, you got to be a Nation of Islam member to even go to the Nation of Islam schools, and it's only about 3 of them in all America. The Nation of Islam and separatism and taking donations for the economic blueprint plan, and guess what? They've been talking about building a nation since 1940. I'd leave the 30s alone. But I'll say since 1940, they've been talking about building a nation. And guess what? It's 2025, and they don't even have a block. Some hardcore real ain't built a nation. It's how long ago was that? My daddy was born in 1945, and he's 80 years old. Let's just say in 90 years, the Nation of Islam, who was supposed to build a nation and do for self and or separate, don't even have one block. Crazy. But all honor and respect due to the Nation of Islam. And we call him what? The Old Testament Farrakhan. I used to love the Old Testament Farrakhan. What's up, Fatty? Yeah, so y'all, that's my Cash App. Hook a brother up, man. Send a nigga 50 cent. I love 50 cent. $1, $10, $50, whatever you feel, whatever your heart's desire. Just to say thank you, Chief X, for the enlightenment you gave me. Thank you for all these years of clarifying and cleaning up bullshit in this fucking community. I've been here an hour and 51 minutes, longer than I expected to be. um, but I just wanted to touch on Shaka Amo's presentation. And it's a fact. All three of his sources, I thoroughly debunked and body slammed them. Get that bullshit up out of here. Shaka Amos won't respond to this because he's scared to death of Chief X. Y'all didn't know this? He'll play dumb when everybody brings a, hey, would you have a debate with Chief X? Nope. None of these cats wanted to debate me on any goddamn topic. They weren't confident enough. It's too much against them. It's too much to lose. Oh, so some people are having a conversation, and somebody asked a question, and I think maybe Concrete Corey or Corey, who's in cahoots with Sheffring on the Carnivorous podcast, right? Asked this question. He thought it was so profound, but maybe he didn't realize I've been asking this same question and saying the same thing for a decade now. How can you people go against white supremacy but embrace black supremacy? How you against what you call racist, but then you become a racist on the opposite spectrum? Racism is not good whether it's from white folk or black folk. But this is not rocket science. The world's a much better place if people are not racist. So how do black supremacist people think they're doing something good or helping out black people by being black racist or black supremacist? What you say, armchair? Yeah, Shaka won't even mention my name in public. I've done a debunking on Shaka 2 different times. He will never address it or speak my name. You know why? It's the same with Tariq Nasheed. I've clowned Tariq Nasheed several times and debunked his hidden colors shit. I debunked a bunch of shit he spewed. Tariq Nasheed will not touch me or mention my name, and he's watched my shit. He used to come on my Facebook page and try to argue with me some shit, and I shut his ass down with some wisdom. Tariq Nasheed is scared to death of me. Along with that, he can't mention my name because then people will come to my YouTube channel and see what the fuck I said about him, and he does not want that to happen. Same thing with Shaka. Shaka do not want anyone to come to Chief X YouTube page and see what Chief X said about his ass. So they can't mention my name. Mentioning my name is like committing suicide to yourself and your agenda. What you say, Dr. Banu? They're called drainage moths? I'm definitely about to look that up. There's these little bitty moths, right? I don't know if it's some seasonal shit, but they've been in my house. So I like to keep my front door open. But when I do lately, they just been flying through these cracks in my screen and shit. But I'm going to look up drainage moths and see why they invading and trying to colonize my shit up in here. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to do this little presentation, and I appreciate the donations, family, and that's about it. I'm gonna get up out of here. Peace to y'all. I'm out. Send a brother $1 cash app. God damn, cheap motherfuckers. I'm out, y'all. Peace.